Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining our live stream today. We'll be starting very shortly. Thank you very much. Namaste everyone, and thank you for joining us today on the Students and Food, the latest edition of our Wisdom Wednesdays webinar series. Wisdom Wednesdays are part of National Hindu Student Forum UK's Distancing Dharmically campaign, where we invite a range of speakers to discuss a topic with our students. Before we get started today, we will start off with reciting the Gayatri mantra. So I will say one Omkar, and then together we will all say the Gayatri mantra from wherever we're listening. Om. Om Bhur Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat.
Thank you, Kevalji, for starting us off with the Gayatri mantra, and thank you to our audience at home for joining to today's Wisdom Wednesday. And tonight we'll be discussing the topic of food, but before that, I'm going to run through the format for the evening and introduce the panel. We will begin with a 20 to 30 minute discussion, and then we will open up the floor and answer your questions. So please do ask questions and put your thoughts in the comments. And whilst you are there, take a moment to like and follow NHSF UK on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I would now like to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, Garimaji Pandey. Garimaji is an Ayurvedic doctor from the Gurukul Gangreji Haridwar Institute who champions using ancient Indian science, Ayurveda, and is passionate about lifestyle and inspired by it. She is an active member of Ayurvedic Professionals UK and keen to share her knowledge and experience in Ayurveda and help people to maximize their life's potential. Namaste, Garimaji.
Namaste, Kavita. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
And now I would like to introduce our students for the evening. Firstly, we have Kevalji Chavra, a graduate in economics from the University of Nottingham. He is currently our National Public Relations Coordinator and works for the Financial Conduct Authority as a regulatory associate. Namaste, Kevalji.
Namaste.
And finally, we have myself, Kavita Puri, a graduate from Keele University in Biomedical Science, currently studying a Master's in Molecular Microbiology at Nottingham Trent University and serving as the National Events Coordinator. Now that we have met our speaker, we will begin today's Wisdom Wednesday, the students and food.
Thank you, Kavitaji. And I think a good place to start, Garimaji, would be to actually explore the relationship that we have with food. So my first question is, how much of a key role should food play in our lives?
Okay. Thank you for your question, Kevalji. That's a very interesting question. In one of the very ancient Ayurvedic scripture, when ancient saint Charaka was describing about food, he wrote that lokam annabhidharyati. Loka means this world. So this world revolves around the food. So we can see when in Charak Samhita, it is stated that the whole world revolves around the food. So food definitely plays a very, very important role in our lives. Yeah, and food, what kind of food should we be eating? At the same time, when it was said, Lokam annabhidharyate, our sage Charaka described that how our food should be. It should be Hitabhuk, we should be eating, which is good for us. Hitabhuk, Mitabhuk, and Ritubhuk. Mitabhuk means what we are eating, how much we are eating, and what time we are eating, what is the season. So definitely food plays a very important role in our lives. And if we see the wider perspective of importance of food in our life, when Ayurveda's prayojan was described, the purpose of Ayurveda, it was stated that I'm forgetting that shloka. It's a lovely shloka. It says, "Ayu kamai manen dharmartha sukh sadhanam Ayurvedic desheshu videya paramadma." It means to have a healthy life. Ayu, the people who needs a healthy long life and who want to walk on the path of dharma. They need a healthy life, and to walk on the path of dharma and to have a strong, healthy body. Of course, we need food. We need the right kind of food. That is the importance, I would say.
So, Garimaji, you touched on Ayurveda. Could you explain more about what Ayurveda is?
Okay. Ayurveda is one of the most ancient healing systems, and it is believed to be originated in India more than 5,000 years ago. and it is an Upveda of Rig Veda, the most ancient Vedas. Ayurveda is Upveda of Rig Veda, and Ayurveda is comprised of two words, Ayur and Veda. Ayur means life, and Veda means knowledge or science. So Ayurveda teaches us how to live our life, like how to live our life to its potential, to maximum potential. And it teaches us how to live with our surroundings, with our environment harmoniously. So Ayurveda has given emphasis not just on our life, not just the human life, but the life associated with us, how to integrate those teachings in our personal lives so that we can live harmoniously with the environment.
Thank you, Garimaji, for that explanation. I was thinking, because Ayurveda is such an ancient science almost, I think you'd agree, are there elements of that which we use today, like in our lives today? And what influence has it had on our current lives as they are?
If Ayurveda is a holistic system, it teaches us how to live life holistically, and it tells us the holistic way, holistic lifestyle. The three basic pillars, the fundamental pillars of Ayurveda are Ahar, Nidra, Brahmacharya. Ahar is the food what we're discussing today, and Vihar, our lifestyle. Nidra, the sleeping patterns, and how to live in sync with the nature. What time should we sleep and what time should we waking up? That is a part of our lifestyle. And of course, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means how to channelize your energy, physical energy, mental energy, and sexual energy. So that is what Ayurveda's basic teachings are. And if we can integrate those teachings in our day-to-day life, we can have a very healthy life.
That's really interesting, Garimaji. I've heard the words digestive fire or Agni being used before. Could you explain this a little bit more for us?
Sure. Agni, if we know what Agni is, Agni means fire in English, we say fire. And what are the qualities of fire? Fire has the quality of transformation. Whatever comes in contact with fire, fire transforms it. So it depends on the quality of fire, how it is going to convert anything into it, anything to. So similarly, what Agni in our body is the digestive fire. And in Ayurvedic literature, it is said the kind of Agni you have, the stronger your digestive fire is, healthier you are. In fact, they have said that like your age, your chronological age depends on the quality of your Agni. Quality of the digestive fire governs your Bal, Varna, Ayu, Ojas, and Medha. Bal means strength, both physical and mental. Ayu, longevity, how long you're going to live. Medha means Smriti. Smriti is something what we, Dhi, Dharya, Smriti. So memory. So, and Ojas, our immunity. Everything is dependent on Agni, and in our body there are 13 kinds of Agni, and mother of all Agni is the Jathara Agni, the digestive fire, and rest are 7 are Bhutagni, and then 7 are Dhatu Agni, and 5 are Mahabhutagni. So what we eat and how it is getting digested, absorbed, and assimilated in our system depends on the quality of Agni. So we should try our best to preserve this Agni. Agni plays like a very important role in our lives, and it's like one of the fundamental teachings of Ayurveda. And when we treat any patient, any client comes to me, first of all, I assess their Agni, what kind of Agni they have. And unfortunately, the time we are living in, diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors, everything is affecting our Agni. So it is our main responsibility for our body is to protect the Agni.
Thank you very much, Garimaji. I was wondering, just while you were talking about that, about preserving our Agni and making sure that we can go towards immunity. Are there any specific foods that Ayurveda recommends in terms of maintaining that Agni, or perhaps what impact different foods have on our Agni?
Definitely.
It'd be good to explore that a bit more.
Yes. If we talk about normal fire, a log of fire, a campfire, how does it work? We need right amount of right kind of wood, and we need right ignition. And at time to time, we might have to put something to top and proper circulation of air. So this is how we protect the Agni, which we see in our world. And similarly, the Agni, which we can't see in our stomachs, we have to protect the Agni exactly the same way. How much we are going to eat. If we are going to stuff the fire with lot of logs, it's not going to work properly. Yeah, it will not be a bright fire. So similarly, how to protect our Agni is our stomach should have like proper, I would say our stomach is just like this big, a handful. So we should just fill 1/3 with the food, 1/3 with the water, and 1/3 with the 1/3 space should be left for air to circulate and to kindle the digestive fire. And you asked about certain foods which can protect the Agni. Yeah, definitely there are certain kind of food, and depends on your individual constitutional makeup, what will suit a person most. So Ayurveda describes about 3 main type of Agni, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So depending on what constitutional makeup you have, I can suggest, okay, this will be best for you, this kind of food. In general, fresh homemade food with right amount of oil, right amount of fatty acids, and in right proportion, that protects the Agni. And eating at the right times. Like Ayurveda doesn't support snacking. So snacking and munching is not part. We should have 2 to maximum 3 meals in a day. So that's how we can protect our Agni. And of course, freshly made wholesome food is the best thing we can do to protect our Agni in general. And there are some herbs and some remedies, home remedies, which can help in protecting the digestive fire.
Garimaji, you touched upon immunity, and I've heard about how people who live an Ayurvedic lifestyle, they can recover from disease. How does immunity, and especially with COVID-19, is it possible to recover, and does Agni play a role in this?
Definitely. Agni plays a very important role in our immunity as well. In Ayurveda, immunity is described at different places with different terminology. So at one place, immunity is described as bala, bala of your body. And at one place, immunity is described as vyati chamatta, your resilience, how strong your body is to fight against any pathogens, any foreign body, any disease-causing organism. And Agni is, and immunity is Oj as well. Ojas is the very subtle end product of physiological process of your tissue formation. So and these all things, your bala, your vyati chamattu, and ojas again depends on the strength of your digestive fire, the Agni. And what Agni is our gut. And now we are listening a lot, hearing nowadays how many studies are going on to see how digestive system and gut microbiome is related to immunity. So just to answer your question, yeah, our immunity is directly linked to the gut microbiome. And more than 70% of neurotransmitters are manufactured in our gut. So if we have a stronger lymphatic system, which is directly associated with our gut, and lymphatic system and immune system. They are closely interrelated. So if we can protect our gut microbiome, we can definitely improve our immunity. And there are a few herbs like which in COVID-19 cases as well, like ashwagandha, guduchi, they help in recovering from infections. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Garimaji. It's interesting that you because I guess we see food as helping our physical body more so than our mental states and our mental health. So I'd be quite interested, based on what you've just said, can Ayurveda explain any potential link between the food we consume and our diets and the mental states that we experience?
Oh, definitely it does. Definitely. So I would like to share a story here. When I was studying Ayurveda, we were taught that, okay, there are three fundamental pillars of our constitutional makeup. These are called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And when we were studying Vata, so all the qualities and all the functions of Vata were associated with the neurological system. So we were taught that Vata is like Vata's main function is movement and communication. Movement and communication between nerve to nerve, muscle to muscle, nerve to muscle, and of course hormonal communication as well. So when this was told to us that okay, Vata, these are the Vata's main functions. So how I related to both Vata at that time, I related it to brain. But when we moved on to the next chapter, they said the main seat of Vata is our colon. So it was a surprising factor. Like we were talking about neurological functions, and now we are talking about our colon. So how does that relate to now? The science has proved what Ayurveda has taught 5,000 years ago, that your neurological communication and the hormonal communication is directly related to your gut health. So gut-brain barrier, it's a recently discovered term, and it plays a very important role. So the level of stress, our cognition power, our perception, many things depend on the quality of our colon, quality of gut microbiome, or the health of the colon.
That's really interesting, Garimaji. It's not something that I think I've read a lot about. When we speak about Ayurveda, is there a link or some explanation of Western medicine and how Western medicine has been influenced by Ayurveda?
Yes. Are we talking about, are we still on gut health or in general? We talk in modern medicine and Ayurveda. Sorry, I did not get your question, Kavita.
Both. I think it's very interesting in terms of mental state, but also generally.
Okay, generally, if we see like in modern medicine, there are many very effective medicines, and their active components were isolated from some herbal formulations. So if we talk about like, we use cocaine in anesthesia, and that was basically derived from willow tree, bark of willow tree. So it was the main active ingredient was isolated from the bark. And similarly, one of the first anti-malarial drug was isolated from some plant, hydroxychloroquine. And there were like morphine, painkillers. Those were derived from poppy seeds. So opium is basically derived from one of the poppy family seeds. So there are many modern formulations which are derived from herbal extracts. Yeah.
A bit. Thank you, Garimaji. A bit earlier, you spoke about Vata, Pitta, and was it Kapha?
It was Kapha, yeah.
So can you just explain that just a bit more in terms of
Sure.
how, essentially what those concepts are.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we all have a unique genetic type, a unique body type. We all look different. And Vata, if we know about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, it is exactly like you're knowing your own genotype. And if you know your own personality, how good it will be. It will be so easy in terms of food choices, in terms of lifestyle choices. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha are the fundamentals of Ayurveda. These are the three main pillars. Our anatomical and our physiological bodies are made out of Panch Mahabhuta, and these Panch Mahabhutas are in particular permutation and combination make Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are three doshas, and we have three doshas. We all have three doshas, and the combination of these three doshas make us unique. And Vata, if we talk a little bit about Vata, Vata's function is to, as I said earlier, is communication and movement. So we all talk differently, don't we? Like, we all think differently. The movement of thoughts, the way I talk, the movement of food in our intestine, everything is governed by Vata. Pitta is like fire. The main nature of Pitta is to transform. So our metabolism is directly dependent on Pitta. And Kapha is the earth and water content of our body. And how much Kapha we have will depend how we look like, how bulky we are, how slim we are. If we have less Kapha, we are slimmer, we have slimmer bodies. If we have more Kapha people are very stable, calm people. And so these are the main fundamental teachings of Ayurveda. If we can understand Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, we can understand our own body, our own genotype, and life will be really, really, really easy in terms of many choices we make every day.
That's really interesting. I'm going to have to read up about that. So I've heard about, I think it's a herb called Triphala.
Yes.
Does this relate to Vata, Pitta, and Kapha?
It definitely does. So Triphala is one of the magical herbs in Ayurveda. And when we were taught, like in final year of our study, one of our teachers once said, whenever you are confused, use Triphala. It works for everyone. So it is a magical herb. As the name suggests, tri means three, try, and phala, it is and fruits. So Triphala is made out of three different fruits. This is Amla, Haritki, and Vibhitaki. So these are three fruits which make Triphala, and they are individually, they are very powerful fruits, but this combination is magical, which makes them work really, really beautifully in our body. So how does Triphala work? As I said, gut plays a very important role in our health. So what we are eating depends on how it is going to be transformed, depends on your gut health. And Triphala helps replenishing the gut health. Triphala is an excellent prebiotic, and it is rich in bioflavonoids. So, and because of bioflavonoids, it helps in cognition power for students. Is it cognition and perception? Triphala helps with both of these, and of course with our immunity as well. Recent studies have shown that in presence of Triphala, the way we react to any inflammation, any inflammatory condition, Triphala is excellent because it improves the number of killer T cells and neutrophil count in our blood. So Triphala is very important in case of any infections as well. It's very good for immunity. Of course, it's fruit, so it's high in vitamin C, so helps in healing because it promotes collagen formation. So Triphala is a magical herb, and it's a carminative, helps in elimination as well.
Thank you very much, Garimaji. There's so I've actually seen Triphala in my house and stuff, and almost questioned what it is and where it's come from. I was just wondering, in a similar vein, in our culture and tradition, it's said that eating almonds before an exam is very good for your cognitive power, so in terms of remembering things and your memory. Is there any is there any link that we can draw between those two concepts as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said before, Vata plays a very important role in our neurological function, and almonds are said to be good for our brains and or our cognition. So, how does almond help? Before telling anything about almond, I would say a general thing that anything which is Satwik is in nature is said to be good for our brain. So almonds are supposed to be Satwik in nature, and they help in calming the Vata. When we soak the almond, not the raw almonds, when we soak the almonds, raw almonds are a bit inflammatory. They aggravate Pitta. When we
Yes.
soak the almond and we peel the almonds, they are very good for our Vata and very good for colon as well. So that's how, so definitely the ancient wisdom, the way we use fruits or dry fruits or any food in our kitchen, the way our moms and grandmoms have cooked or have fed us, it's really excellent. They knew what they were doing.
Thank you very much. And just on that point, you just mentioned cooking. I've heard about turmeric being used in our food, and it has specific qualities for our Agni. So could you explain a bit more about that as well?
Yes. Turmeric, we have recently, like thousands of papers have been written on turmeric. We have recently found out that turmeric is such an important herb. And in Indian cooking, turmeric, we are using turmeric since ever, and we know how to use turmeric. So people were using turmeric in form of capsules, and later on, after a few publications, few researches, we found out turmeric alone doesn't work very well. So now we started getting capsules of turmeric with black pepper. And it says that absorption and assimilation of turmeric increases more than 3,000 times in presence of black pepper. So, but how did we use turmeric in Indian cooking? We use turmeric with ghee or oil in our frying or tarka.
Yes.
So, yes, because the turmeric is really heating. Because it is heating, it kindles the digestive fire. So it's very good for digestion as well. And but if we are going to eat turmeric on its own, it is very, very drying. So it will dry up the fire. It will not be a like good Agni to digest food. So we should not be eating turmeric on its own. We should be eating turmeric the way we were told to cook it with. So use turmeric with some good fatty acids, coconut oil, ghee, or some good quality oils, help turmeric's absorption and assimilation better. And yeah, we know that our moms have all, whenever like I used to fall or anything, my mom always used to give me turmeric milk at home. So yeah, so then they knew that milk, fatty acids in milk are very good with turmeric.
That's really interesting, Garimaji. Earlier you mentioned with almonds, Satwik. Could you explain this a little more for us, please?
Okay. In Ayurveda, everything in our nature, the way Mother Nature has given us different things, different food, or the way we all are, we have three basic attributes, three basic qualities known as Sattva, Raja, and Tama. Whether it be food or whether it be herbs, everything in this world have these is made out of these three qualities. So I said, what does Sattva mean? Sattva is the light, the perception, the pure consciousness. So I said almonds is good for brain, as Kevalji said. So yeah, it is because they are sattvic. They help how we perceive. They help in building the neurons in our brain. In India, we give a lot of almonds to little children when they are developing their neurological system. Then they are so when we eat almonds, the neuroplasticity improves. So we have better memory when we eat. So Satwik food is definitely good for memory and perception, and for students. Rajas is very active. Sattva is real light, real consciousness, and Rajas good is very active, very creative, but hypermobile. So Rajas and Sattva in right proportion gives the balance, and Tamas is darkness, stagnation. So we do not advise to eat any tamasic food to kids, to students who are trying to learn a new skills. If there is any stagnation, any darkness, any inertia, they are not going to learn a new skill. So Satwik food is very good for students. And I would like to say, like, almonds are Satwik, milk is Satwik, yogurt is Satwik, ghee, and honey. These are the basic food which we use in our everyday life. Sattvic food, good for students.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Garimaji. And I think that's a very, very natural segue into our Facebook question. So everyone who's watching, please comment your questions into Facebook. We'll try and get as many answered by Garimaji today as we can. The first one's coming from Deepikaji Nanda, who has asked, are there some tips for students that you would give in relation to beneficial food?
Definitely. Tips for students. As I said, Sattvic food, which calms the nervous system down and helps improving the perception, helps improving their dhi, dhriti, and medha. Dhi is what we perceive, dhriti is what we retain for short time, and smriti and medha, what we can recall. So definitely Sattvic food is going to help. Now, what is Sattvic food for students? Sattvic food is, I would say, anything like which is wholesome. All fresh fruits and vegetables are Sattvic food. Wholesome food is Sattvic food, and the food which is cooked with pure consciousness is Sattvic food, and not the food which is cooked in bulk, not the non-vegetarian food, not highly processed food. Non-vegetarian food is more of Rajasic food, more of tamasic food. Onion and garlic are have more Rajasic gunas in them. They are stimulant. So because onion and garlic are stimulants, are not very good for students, because they keeps their vata very high. So we need to calm the nervous system down when you're learning something. So of course, like I would advise go for fresh food, freshly cooked food with ghee, good quality ghee, homemade organic ghee, homemade yogurt, which has a lot of probiotics to help build up the good bacteria in colon. That will be very beneficial for students.
Thank you, Garimaji. We have our next question from Chloe Chambers asking, are there, aside from the ancient scriptures, resources you would recommend to learn about Ayurveda and an Ayurvedic diet?
Okay. One of my favorite authors is, if you have heard about Pakka herbs, we see Pakka herbs tea everywhere in supermarkets. The owner of Pakka herbs, Sebastian Paul. Read what he has written. These are in very good basic terminology. Ayurveda is described really well by him. So Pakka herbs books are very good if you want to learn about Ayurveda. And of course, if you want to go to a higher level, Dr. Vasant Lad, he has written multiple books on Ayurveda for everyone. So Dr. Vasant Lad and Sebastian Paul's books.
Thank you very, very much, Garimaji. I think throughout the session and our conversation today, I've been thinking about whether there's a connection between yoga and Ayurveda. So I know we mentioned Ayurveda as a sort of holistic practice. Is there any link in there to yoga, and also, I guess, to learn a bit more about how that links in.
Definitely. Ayurveda and yoga, they both are sister sciences. They work hand in hand. So what does yoga teaches us? What does yoga teach us is like stability. How can we support our body with difficult postures, and we are training our brain how to deal naturally in difficult situations. So that is what yoga is teaching us. And similarly, there are particular yoga asanas when you have some particular specific body conditions. These yoga asanas help along with the herbs. So there are few asanas which are good for students, which help stimulating vata and keeping the nervous system calm. And there are some yoga asanas which help kindling the digestive fire. They go hand in hand, and yogasana and herbs, or maybe we can say illnesses. So we prescribe yogasanas in particular illnesses. What kind of illness if somebody is suffering from? There are particular yogasanas for them as well.
Thank you, Garimaji. The next question from Dip Lodia asks, my mom is always telling me to take multiple vitamins to stay healthy, such as vitamin D and iron supplements. How can we replace these with the food that we eat?
How can we replace the vitamins? If we are talking Ayurvedic perspective, first of all, I would say, look at your gut health. When I was learning pulse diagnosis, my teacher used to say, when we used to go to the class, he used to say, have you eliminated this morning? Have you emptied your bowels this morning? If no, go out of the class. So we were not allowed in the class to learn pulse. So it's very important to look after your gut, and multivitamins and iron. Are you really assimilating them? Are they helping you? If you're not assimilating them well, if they're not getting absorbed, we need to look at the root cause, that why you're not assimilating those vitamins. And once you have taken a course, that's okay. That they are supplements. They cannot be replaced by good food. So if you're asking for replacement, no, food is food, and supplements, whenever needed, they can be taken only if you are absorbing and assimilating them and you're not overburdening the system. What is happening these days? We are very, very focused about nutrition, but we are not focused at all on detoxification. I find sometimes like our lymphatic system is so congested with all these multivitamins and iron supplements, etc., etc. But if your body is not assimilating those multivitamins, they're not going to help us. So first we have to look after our gut health. If we can replenish the gut microbiome with very good prebiotics and probiotics, then these multivitamins and supplements will help. And again, you don't need don't need them forever. You just need good food.
Thank you very much, Garimaji. Following on from that question in terms of modern, how we consume food and supplements in the current day, we've got a question from Garanji Dusara, who has asked, with the way that food is produced en masse currently, even our vegetables and fruits have a lot of pesticides and chemicals. What impact does this have on our bodies?
It's a very good question, and it is quite close to my heart. Being mom of 2 kids, I always think before cooking that I give fruits to my girls to eat, but I feel, oh, I don't know how many preservatives are there. This is something at this time we cannot get away from this. So we have to be really mindful while choosing our fruits and vegetables. With grains, yeah, we can wash them multiple times before cooking. Similarly, fruit and vegetables, if we can go for organic, hopefully they are organic. Yeah. And they're definitely like the kind of heavy metals I see in my clients when I do heavy metal toxicity test. The people are suffering. Everyone is having heavy metal toxicity in their bodies these days. So if we talk about our Indian cooking, we always garnish our dishes with cilantro. So cilantro is a very good chelating agent for heavy metals in our body. So cilantro juice is one of the things. As a shot, you can drink in the morning if you're worried, okay, that your body is overloaded with heavy metals. So otherwise, there's no escape for this. We just need to be mindful.
Thank you, Garimaji. If your question wasn't answered, we will be answering questions during the week from our speaker tonight. So do keep an eye out on our social media and follow us on NHSF UK across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Garimaji, I would just really like to say thank you today for taking the time out and joining us on our platform to discuss food and the relationship with Ayurveda. It was really interesting that the saying, "We are what we eat," is such a big factor, and as students we should focus on specific foods to eat. Avuji, what was your key takeaway?
So I think I'd say the biggest key takeaway for me was that the things that I've grown up around in my family, so eat your almonds because it will help you get that extra 10% in your exam. It's refreshing to see that it's not just my mum's way of making me eat more almonds, but that there is actually a grounding in Ayurveda behind it as well. And I think it was just really interesting to hear from you about something that I don't know a lot about. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting, and I'm happy to answer all the questions, whatever we couldn't answer today because of the time constraint. And yeah, thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed the session, really enjoyed your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Garimaji.
Thank you, Kavitaji.
To our audience, please do visit NHSF UK's Facebook page, rewatch our old Wisdom Wednesday webinars. We explore a range of topics from the Vedas to the environment. We would also like to take this opportunity to share Vichar Manthan's Sustainable Narratives Conference, which is starting tomorrow, initiating a new dialogue through panels and fireside conversations. So please visit Vichar Manthan's website for registration details. And we look forward to seeing you for another exciting session next week. So please follow and like NHSF UK on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will now end with a final Omkar. Dhanyavad. Thank you for joining us, and Shubh Ratri.